Hey friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bianca, and I invite you to join me on a trip to South Korea with my family. But before we start, just so you know, this trip actually took place back in December 2023, so don't be too surprised to see Christmas trees and loads of winter outfits throughout the vlog. Though I'll admit, the cold totally didn't stop me from having ice cream. We started the trip by checking out Myeongdong, one of the most popular shopping districts in Seoul. Having been a city girl for pretty much my entire life, I really liked how pedestrian friendly the whole place is, and it's honestly quite hard to run out of things to do here. For instance, we tried a tanghulu for the first time, and that's just one of the many street foods out there. There's also tteokbokki, crab, corn dog, Korean fried chicken, and a bunch of other snacks that I've never seen before. Besides that, another highlight for me was making the impromptu decision to watch a show called Nanta. For context, watching Nanta is kind of like watching Mr. Bean because they're both non-verbal comedy shows. In this case, the backstory was centered around four over-the-top cooks who were given a tight deadline to prepare a wedding banquet. The cool part about this show was that they used actual kitchen utensils to play Korean folk song rhythms. On top of that, there were acrobatic performances, and the cooks were tossing plates like frisbees. I was impressed. In fact, I was even thinking about how I wouldn't even mind doing this part-time because the choreography looks fun. A family friend brought us to a few hilltop temples the following day, where we spent a fair bit of time simply admiring the surrounding nature. We were also introduced to several restaurants, such as this one called Hadong Kwan, which is famous for their traditional Korean beef soup with rice called gomjang. There's also this steamed pork backbone dish that we came across at 24-hour bone gamjatang. It's basically a bunch of ingredients like pork, eggs, bean sprouts, tteokbokki, and potato piled onto a huge plate with spicy sauce. Once you're done eating all of that, the restaurant would then take the remaining spicy sauce to make fried rice. If you thought that was it, we also met up a couple of other friends during the trip who very kindly satisfied our appetite for Korean barbecued beef. So yeah, as you probably can imagine, we were very well fed in Seoul. Later on, I found out that I had a stalker in town. Just kidding, it's the one and only Amanda Kwa, the founder of Backscoop. Turns out we were visiting South Korea at the same time, so we made plans to meet up again after months of video calls. Funnily enough, one of Amanda's old high school friends, Yejin, who's a local, was also in town. So she was basically our tour guide for the day. If anything, I would totally recommend you to try out the risotto at Terrace Room Seoul. We all liked it so much that we even ordered a second plate. Meanwhile, since cafe culture in Korea is a real big thing, Yejin brought us to this cafe called Mememi for a dessert after that. Apparently, we also found out that one of the popular K-pop entertainment companies, Starship Entertainment, was nearby. And if you know me well enough, you definitely wouldn't be too surprised to hear that I made the entire group take a detour so that I could dance in front of their headquarters. After an afternoon of laughter and terrible jokes, Amanda had a facial appointment right after our meet. As I grew up hearing a lot about South Korea's massive skincare industry, I decided to tag along. Fortunately, the people there were super friendly, to the extent that they even let me sit in just to see how their consultation session works. And yup, you know that our friendship is real when washing faces together is a legitimate group activity. Another particularly exciting part of our trip was when we visited the Korean Demilitarized Zone, also known as the DMZ. It was a pretty surreal experience, particularly for my brother, as he's the kind who enjoys studying the history of wars, especially geopolitical conflicts dating back to World War II. I do have my fair share of obsessions with history, just that for some reason, I would admit that watching Crash Landing on You made it a little harder for me to not wonder if there was a North Korean soldier who was secretly binging a K-drama series inside one of the border guard posts. In the meantime, it was also pretty cool to walk through one of the secret tunnels suspected to be built by North Korean soldiers. In fact, considering the relatively somber history, I found it confusing yet pleasantly surprising to get to go to the quote-unquote front line and find all things really calm. As a matter of fact, picture taking was even allowed in certain areas, and a lot of the material that was covered during the tour was South Korea's wish for reunification. Well, it's very hard to say what the future may entail, but it was nice to witness a desire for peace. Oh, and there was snow too, so it definitely lightened up the mood. The days moving forward got increasingly chilly, so we ended up spending quite a lot of time in malls and crowded streets to warm ourselves up. If you were to ask me, I would recommend exploring Hongdae, Insadong, and Gangnam on top of Myeongdong. As much as how these streets may look similar, their demographics differ, so the energy associated with each of them will be noticeably unique. For instance, Hongdae is quite well known for its youthful ambience due to its proximity to a university. Hence, don't be surprised to see loads of young people hanging out over there in the evenings. Other than that, I also had a few bucket list items as well, so with hard work and determination, I managed to find a McDonald's.
Right, I should move.
I even managed to hunt down the dalgona candy that was popularized by Squid Game. For context, I specifically wanted to try the umbrella-shaped one, as I couldn't really gauge how tough it is to carve it out within 10 minutes. Long story short, even with me trying to lick my way through, I failed miserably and would have died a painful death if I were to be in a real Squid Game. So, whoops. And well, I did say that my brother is super passionate about war history, so we visited the War Memorial of Korea and got ourselves excited over the armored vehicles section. And of course, since K-pop is such a global influence, I had to check out the statue of Gangnam Style and dance in front of YG Entertainment's headquarters. The guards probably gave me one of the most judgmental looks in the history of mankind, but you know what? I blame the weather. Bad weather gives people a bad mood. Other than that, my colleagues back in Malaysia are big fans of Korean health and beauty products, so I ended up visiting at least 10 different Olive Young branches to help with the shopping orders. Honestly, the rest of our days in Korea revolved around impromptu walks to completely random places such as the Myeongdong fish market. It turns out that you can do your seafood shopping in the wet market downstairs and then bring them to the restaurants upstairs to cook your freshly caught lunch. Okay, well, technically more like your freshly bought lunch. Besides that, I even found this BB gun shooting range in the streets of Gangnam. Considering that this is my first time, yeah, you probably wouldn't want to mess with me. Finally, to top off the entire trip, it suddenly snowed intensively on our final day as we were heading to the bus stop for the airport. As you can see, I was definitely a very happy girl that day. With that, thanks a lot for traveling around Seoul with me. Generally speaking, checking out South Korea has always been on my travel bucket list, as its growing global influence made me wonder a lot about how their society and ways of living are like. So if you found this vlog to be enjoyable, do consider hitting the like, subscribe, and bell icon. And perhaps check out my Switzerland vlog series if you want some more stunning views. Till then, I wish all of you a beautiful day ahead, be kind to yourself and others, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye bye!